Good morning, guys. On this day, and just a rundown of kind of last touch base before we go on to spring break. So, hopefully, you watch today. I'm gonna miss seeing you guys. I think we're all gonna be maybe a little bit bored over spring break. Maybe you guys won't be, but I definitely will miss seeing you guys. So, on this day in history, the Pony Express debuts in 1860. So, this was the first Pony Express mail traveled by horse and rider relay team simultaneously leaving St. Joseph's, Missouri and Sacramento, California. So that's part of the reason I do this on this day is because it left from Sacramento. 10 days later, the western bound rider, which we're on the West Coast, reached Sacramento. So the guy who left St. Joseph's, Missouri, reached Sacramento, beating the eastern-bound rider, which is the guy that left from Sacramento, on the 1,800-mile journey. That's a lot of miles. So the Pony Express, even though they debuted and it was a great idea, it ended up being extremely short-lived and unprofitable. Remember, unprofitable means they weren't making any money off of it. It captivated the American imagination and helped win federal aid for a more economical overland postal system. So, I mean, we still have this extremely extensive postal system today. It debuted in a time where before radio and telephone and transcontinental railroad. So, that means the transcontinental railroad is the railroad that goes across all of the continent, right? All of North America. So all of those things did not exist. So Pony Express was really the only way you could get something across easily, I guess. And then California had only received statehood 10 years before this, 1849. And then it was largely cut off from the east, so it took about a month to get to either coast. So that's a really long time. This is a cool little stamp here with where St. Joseph's is to Sacramento. So pretty cool. You get a 2 for today because tomorrow is the day that Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. And although it's very sad, I do want to talk about it because I like talking about Martin Luther King Jr. and some civil rights things because you really don't get a large dose of that until you're older. So on this day in history, Martin Luther King Jr., let's do his whole name. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is assassinated in 1968. So just after 6 p.m. on April 4th, he was fatally shot while standing on the balcony of a Memphis, Tennessee hotel. He was in Memphis to support a sanitation worker strike, so he was there to strike with the workers. And he was on his way to dinner when he was shot by a sniper. So very sad. This man had death threats and, things thrown into his house and ends up getting shot by a sniper when he was just really getting going. And then as news of his death spread, riots broke out in Memphis and Washington, D.C. He was extremely beloved amongst most of the African American community in the United States. So this is something that would have been taken extremely hard by those people and people who weren't African American and knew that what Dr. Martin Luther King was doing was right. Okay. He was buried on April 9th in his hometown of Atlanta, Georgia. Tens of thousands of people lined the streets to honor King. That K should be capitalized. I'm gonna fix that right now. King was shot by escaped convict James Earl Ray. James Earl Ray pleaded guilty to the assassination and tried to withdraw his plea 3 days later. So he said he did it, and then he tried to take it back. And it was eventually sentenced to 99 years in prison, which means he would never, that's a life sentence, or maybe more than a life sentence, but he was never going to get out of jail for that. So a very sad day. I know that's kind of depressing that that's what I choose to talk about and get excited about, but it's important for you to understand that someone as important as Martin Luther King Jr. He would have made history whether or not he died, because of the things that he did and because of the impact he had on the United States of America for Black people, and he believed in the civil rights movement, and I just think it's a very powerful thing. So on this days are done, something that I came up with last night, there we go, is I made a checklist of the things that have been assigned in the last 2 weeks, just in case you are unsure of what you were supposed to be doing. I think more so in language arts, it's been a little more difficult to keep track of for some kids, but this is everything that we've done in individuals and societies, and this is for you, okay? I don't need this. This is for you to track for yourself, to see and make sure that you have everything turned in so that you are not worrying about stuff over spring break. The goal is to not have to worry about anything. Obviously, because I'm your teacher, I would encourage you to still be reading your AR book or any book, just because it's good for you. I'm reading a lot more than I was able to during school time, and maybe that's not your favorite thing to do, but it's still good for you to do. So on here is everything, and I know the Silk Road web quest, this one, a lot of you had trouble accessing it, so yes, it's on there. Don't email me saying I couldn't do it. I already know, okay? So just, this is for you. I will see you. Expect an email from me. I'm going to try out some new things when we come back from the break. One being us meeting in small groups or individually so that we can work on some work together. And I need you guys to understand that these Zoom meetings and the time that we're online together, it's not really optional. It's something that you need to be working hard to be in. I think I'm going to make the times a little bit later in hopes of getting everybody online. So we will talk soon again. Enjoy your break, and I'm going to post a video on language arts too. So if you're in both, you'll see me soon.